right, today we're going to be working with, we're going to be doing a vacuum test actually on 4060E late model Valvebody. It's a 2009, and we're going to be vacuum testing the actuator feed limit circuit, because I believe that's where my problem is. And just to give you a little history on this van, this thing's giving me a little agita. We originally did this van probably about, I guess 8 months ago. It's an '09 Chevy van, and originally was towed in because the rear planet set had failed. So we got it in, we did the job, overhauled it, went out. And the one thing that I like to do before I release the car to the customer is I like to road check the car when it's cold, like it sits overnight. And then I like to let it sit and maybe run for an hour, hour and a half, honestly. So when it's nice and hot, I like to also road check it when it's hot. And I like to drive it on the parkway or local streets, as long as I can get the converter clutch to engage to make sure my slip is below 10 RPM. All right, so with that, when the van was done, we road checked it in the morning. It felt good. I left it outside, let it run, maybe for about an hour or so. Then I get in it, put it in drive, and I'm feeling a delay, which I'm not liking. Put it in reverse, I'm feeling a delay also. Okay, so what are we talking about? Nothing really is common to fold in reverse on this unit, so we could have a pump problem, filter problem, pressure regulator, which is in the pump. So we bring it back in, I put the gauge on it, I had to let it cool down, and the baseline, letting it cool down, the baseline pressure seemed to be okay. I think it might have been maybe, I don't know, 70, 75 pounds, 70 pounds maybe. So that seemed okay, but I'm not feeling a delay, so I let it run. With the gauge hanging, I got the gauge still on it, and I go out and check it probably about 30 minutes later, and I think I got probably about 40 pounds for a baseline, so I dropped about 30 pounds. And of course I put in drive, and hey, there's my delay. It's kind of, I don't have good pressure rise, the pressure's down. And so I figured I got something going on with the pump. And another way I can tell I got an issue with the pump is I get in the van, step on the gas a little bit, and boom, I come right back to baseline pressure. Okay, so we got to pull this thing back out. I get a replacement pump. I always do the, front and rear stator bushings. I actually put a Sonic's boost valve in it. Pump looked real nice, cleaned it up, put it in the car, put the gauge on it. Now I got 80 pounds for a baseline pressure, cold and hot. The van worked great, and he took it. So I just get a call from him probably about 3-4 days ago, and he says, hey, it doesn't, when it gets hot, it doesn't really seem like it's shifting correctly. I says, all right, bring it back in, let's check it out. And first thing I do is put the gauge on it. I let it sit overnight. We bring it in, it's up on the lift. I put the gauge on it first thing in the morning. Started up, I got 80 pounds of pressure for my baseline. I let the thing run for an hour or so. I still got 80 pounds. I got good line rise, so my problem is not there. I actually had somebody drive it, and he says, it doesn't feel right, third and fourth gear. Okay, so we get the valve body down, and what I'm interested in is the actuator feed limit, because that's what feeds the solenoids, the oil, to keep the shift valve supply, to keep the clutches on. And I vacuum test the actuator feed limit circuit, but I'd like to compare it to something, so I have a late model valve body sent to me, a replacement one, which is this one. And I'll tell you, there's a big difference in the vacuum test, which I want to share with you guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a little closer here. All right, we're going to set up the vacuum test stand to the pump. We're going to make sure it's calibrated correctly, and we're going to do the vacuum test on the actuator feed limit circuits, and I'll show you the difference. Well, you'll see the difference on the vacuum test stand. So I think I found the problem. And I'm certainly going to put the valve body in and, let them take it and give it a shot, because I think that's what I'm dealing with. But I don't think I have a pump problem because, or a pressure regulator problem, a filter problem, because my baseline does not move at all when the car is cold or hot, and I got good line rise. reverse, I got about 120 pounds, so all that's good in that sense. So let me get a little closer up to the bench here. We're going to set this thing up, calibrate it, and vacuum test both valve bodies, and you'll see the difference. So I will be right back. All right, so first thing we're going to do is calibrate the vacuum test stand. So this part here is going to get hooked up to the vacuum pump. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that's hooked up now. Normally, this here is what we're gonna do the vacuum test with. You know, it's gonna get plugged into here, but first we gotta calibrate it. So there is a port here that says cal, which is for calibration, and we're going to put that in. All right, now we're gonna turn the pump on, and what's gonna happen is we need the just running, you know, with the pump running, we need the vacuum test stand to be at 5 inches of vacuum, okay, all by itself, and that's adjusted with this knob, okay, and then there is a hole here, there's a hole right here that I'm going to put my finger over, and then we want in the vacuum test stand, they want to come around, and we want to calibrate it at 25 inches, and that's how, and we use the bleed for that. So I'm going to turn this on. Alright, so you can see it's at 5 inches already. Now I'm going to put my finger over the hole, and I'm just a little past 25, so we're going to adjust it here. Okay, to be right at 25. Okay, so now we have 5. Now we have 25. Okay, so the machine is calibrated. Now we can continue with the vacuum test. Okay, all right, I hope this is a good angle. I wanted to get the valve body where the piece is going to go, which is right here. And also so you guys can see the gauge on the vacuum test stand. Okay, so I'm going to plug this thing in here. Okay, so now we're ready to hit it with the vacuum test. And I'm going to turn the pump on. And what I do here also is just to make sure that I get a good seal when I'm vacuum testing. I use a little grease and I put it around the outside of the board that I'm vacuum testing. Okay, some people may use like a rubber mat or something like that. But I just put a little grease around the area that I'm going to be testing to get a decent seal. All right, so I'm going to turn the pump on. We're going to test, this is the valve body that came out of the van, and then we're going to do the one that's going to be going in the van. Okay, so we're going to watch, we're going to turn the pump on, we'll watch the gauge. So you can see I got maybe 7 inches of vacuum, and I'm pressing down on this pretty hard. Okay, it's the actuator feed limit. Okay. Now let's get the other valve body here. This one. Look at that, I got almost double the amount of vacuum. This is the actuator feed limit circuit. So I believe that's my problem. Got this on here. It sticks pretty good when you use the grease. I really got to pull the thing off. Okay, let's just do this one more time. maybe 6.5 to 7 inches. So I'm going to prepare this valve body, switch the solenoids over. I'm going to put that valve body in and road check it once again, and I think that's going to solve my problem. So I want to just thank you guys for watching once again, and have a great day.